All right. So now we'll work on the UI quickly. We'll see if we can make it at least better than what we have right now. So first thing we'll do, we'll change the font style. So for this, I'm going to go to Google Fonts, Google Fonts, and I'm going to use Poppins. I like Poppins font. So this Poppins font, we have this view selected families, click on it, get embed code. I'm not going to download it. I'll directly use this import directly in our index.html. So here we don't need all of these. We'll change style, remove it. We'll have regular, and then we are going to have bold. These two are, yeah, we need these two only. Okay. So for this, we have this embed code in head of your HTML. So we'll simply copy this. Let me zoom it so that you can see it. So this thing, link rel pre-connect, font Google API, then link href. This is the font family Poppins with weights 100, 400, 700. So let's copy this. Now we'll go to our web project. In here, we'll go to www.root index.html. This is the main entry point of our application. Inside this head, we are going to have these fonts. Okay, save it. Now after this, how to use this? We just need to go to Poppins CSS classes, Poppins thin, regular, bold, or we can directly use these things. Font family, Poppins system UI, we can have this. In our main global CSS, that is app.css, we'll come here, and here we have HTML body font family. So in this, we'll simply add the initial font family as Poppins. And then we'll let it fall back to whatever it is by default. Okay, HTML body, and let's have star as well. Save everything, and now font should be Poppins. After that, I will have kind of some grayish, light grayish background. Let's run it. We'll try to see there only in the browser that what looks better, not very good, but at least better. Okay, this is UI, this is API, this text is changed, and it is, I think it is looking better. Okay, we have this also. This is also we need to fix. We'll fix it. Right now, we have this background. So on body, I'll say background color gray, and then I'm going to have some light color, or maybe let's try to see if we can find some color related to this, or maybe, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, maybe try this one. We'll see if this is total white, this is, or maybe let's try to see this color, lighter version of this color. No. Yeah, maybe let's keep this. We'll see if we want to change it. We'll change it. So this is the background color. I want it on body and HTML. So after this, I'm going to say HTML and body. I want to have this background color. After that, we want to remove the top bar. What we have, the default about link there, right? If you remember, this section, this top section, we don't need this. We'll remove this section from here. We'll change this blazing quiz.web. We'll have our application name here, blazing quiz only with space. And then we'll have so this is a part of layout, we'll remove this. Then we'll have this maybe heading, page heading, as as a part of layout only. Okay, let's quickly do this. So we'll go to our layout and main layout. Here we have this sidebar, then we have this about. So we don't need this, we'll remove this thing. All right, now we have this initializing state, body, everything looks fine. But inside this article, maybe before this body, what we'll do, we'll have a section outlet here. So the section outlet, it will allow to add a placeholder here in the layout, and the content for this placeholder will be provided by the pages. So this should come from this. Using Microsoft ASP.NET Core component sections, I'll simply cut this and I'll move it to underscore imports.razor so that we can use it throughout for all our pages. So in section outlet, inside this here, we are going to have not like this, we can simply have self closing. After that, we are going to have a HR tag. And for the section outlet, let's do this. Let's have div maybe. We'll see if we want to add something. That's why I have added this div. And then maybe I'll have a h1 class text, not text. We'll say m0. We don't need any default margin. Bootstrap adds default margin to h classes. And the layout styling for this h1, I don't want it to be a very big piece of text. So we'll add, maybe we'll have h1 but give an appearance of maybe h3. This, and inside this h1 we are going to have this section outlet, so that whatever we add in section outlet, that should be rendered in this. Now on this HR, we'll do it has its own what we call it, its own margin. So let's see if that margin fits with our need. If not, we'll override that margin. In this section outlet, there can be multiple section outlets on a layout. So we need to name these section outlets. There are two ways. One is section object ID, one is object name, section ID and section name. So we are not going to use section ID, we are going to use section name. Do let me in the comment if you guys know about the section outlet or section content. If not, drop a comment. I can plan a dedicated video for these sections, how the sections works in Blazor. So here we are going to section name. Let's call it page header, or maybe page title. Page title. Save it, and now we are good. Now we'll go to the pages. Let's go to home page, which is default. We'll modify it later. Here we can have section content. Outlet is what adds the placeholder. Content is which adds the actual value to that placeholder. So section content, inside this we'll have something, the actual text. Now there can be multiple section outlets. The same way there can be multiple section content. So we need to map this section content to that section outlet, this one. So this we can do using this section name. It should be the same section name. So now this is mapped with that one. The position here does not matter. It can be anywhere, but the place it is going to be rendered, that is derived from this section outlet. It will always be here. Okay, let me copy this thing and let's move to all the pages. We'll go to auth login. We are not having this because in login we have empty layout. So there we don't have section outlet. So there is no requirement to do anything on this one. Then we'll go to admin. We have save quiz. Here we have this h1. Now what we'll do, we'll have our section content and we'll move this thing inside this. Okay, but before that, let me add this section content to all the pages, then I'll do this. Section content, and yeah. On this manage categories thing, we'll have this manage categories as this page title. We can remove HR and H1 from the body. Save it. Manage quizzes. We'll have this manage quizzes. Here we don't need this HR and H1. We'll add here, then save quiz. Now this case, we are going to add this thing inside this section like this. And we don't need this HR because this will be handled from layout only. So save everything. And I guess we are good. Save all. Maybe stop and restart. And one more thing, we need to change the name of the application as well, right? Let's do that as well, then we'll run it. So that thing should come from nav menu or main layout. Sidebar, sidebar, sidebar. That is in this nav menu only. This navbar brand, this is the one. So here we'll say blazing quiz and we'll remove this .web. Save everything and let's run. Swagger, our UI, we can see this home, this HR, we'll see log out, and we can see this login blazing quiz. Let's log in, and here this text is this home, manage categories, manage quizzes, add quiz. In manage quizzes, if we select something, if we edit it, we can see update quiz. So things are working. Are these font bold or no? Font weight bold. Right? FW bold. Yeah. Let's add FW bold as well to the H1. Okay. So H1 in our main layout. Here we have this H1. We'll do FW bold, that is font weight bold as well. Hot reload. And we are good. Home is fine. We don't have anything on home yet. Manage categories. We need to change this as well. So what else we can do on this thing? Maybe now we can have let's remove this card. We will not have card. We will just have a white background for this, and with maybe some shadow, or with white background only it should look good. We'll have the width is fine for this one. We'll increase the width of this table so that there is no space in between. Okay, let's quickly do this. Manage categories page. Right now we have call sm4 for the first one and call sm6 for the second one. So maybe call sm4 is fine, but for second one we'll have call sm8. Then inside this edit form we have this card. We will not have card. Instead we will directly have a div with bg white, background white, padding of 3, and then we don't need this card body, and then we don't need this card footer. So we'll remove card footer class from here and leave everything else like this only, and we'll remove this card body class from here. Okay, save it and let's see how it looks. It should look better than before, and we have this some color inside this. From where this is coming, we'll see card header. We need to remove this card header class as well. Okay, we are good with this. We can increase the padding if we want to, but this looks fine. Add edit category. Maybe after add edit category we can have an HR to give some space. Okay, all right, let's do this. So here we don't need this card header. Card header. What did I do? I added everything in card header. Okay. So we have this add edit category H4. Here we'll say one HR tag. M0 is fine, and maybe we can have FW bold here as well. And let's make it H5 or 6. We'll see what looks fine. And I guess we are good. Save everything. Hot reload. And we can see this section now. Okay, better than before. Not very good, but at least this is way better than before, right? All right. Cancel, save, test, save, saving, and we can see this test here. All right. Now let's see if we'll have this also background white. Would it look good or not? We have this table. We have this call SM. Maybe inside this, if we have BG white. No. Yeah, without BG white is good. Okay. I'm trying to make it minimal and then look at least better than before. Alright, so we are good with manage categories page. Now we'll go to manage quizzes. I think here we are good, right? Manage quizzes, everything looks fine here. For when we don't have any quiz for some category, then we can maybe move it to the center and make it bigger. Let's do this. Manage quizzes, and we have this thing. P class text changer, no quizzes found. We'll say text center, and maybe let's give it a appearance of H5. Save it, and it is here. All right. Now let's go to add quiz page, and in manage quizzes we have this view questions as well, right? So I guess this is fine. We don't need to do anything for this. Okay. Then add edit this thing. So first thing, let's decrease the width of this save quiz button. Make it maybe center aligned, and maybe do this. Let's have this is active with this only, with this save quiz, and we'll have some spacing from the bottom. So for this, we'll go to the very end where we have our save quiz page. Here we should have our button, which is here, and we have this form. So after this HR, we are going to have a div here, div class display flex, and then MB margin bottom 3 or maybe 5. Inside this display flex, we are going to have our submit button, and we want to have this thing also, this checkbox also inside this only. Display flex, we'll say justify content center and align item center, and we'll have a gap of, let's say, 3, so that there is some spacing between these two. And then we can remove this div, save it, and if we do this justify content center, these are going to be in center. But how would this button look? Let's see. It is here, but we want it to be center aligned, and we want this button to be a bit bigger. So for this, what we should do is, and we should have some spacing from this HR from top as well. And here we should not have this much spacing. this much spacing. Let's see what we can do. So on this display flex, instead of direct display flex, let's do this. Let's have this as div class row. So we'll say div class row, which is uh, display flex by default. We'll have MB5. We'll have align items center. And for internal thing, what we'll do, we'll say div class call sm, let's say 3. Inside this 3, we'll have our this thing, our checkbox. After that, we are going to have a div class call sm, maybe 5, bigger than this 3. And inside this, we are going to have this button. Okay. And then we want this button to be bigger inside this. So for this, what we can do on this call sm6, we can say dgrid, display grid. So inside display grid, this button will simply take up entire width till this call sm5. Save it, hot reload. Let's see if better than that. But now we need both of these to be center aligned without much spacing between these two. So for this, what we can do, inspect this one, we have this call sm3. For this, we'll say ms auto, margin start auto. So this is in here. And then for this one, sm5, we'll say me auto, margin and auto. Okay. After that, I want this section, this is active, to be right aligned. So on this, what we can do, inside this call sm, we can make it display flex, and we can say justify content end, and it is now here. All right. So let's quickly do these things in our code. And call sm3, we need ms auto, margin start auto, and then display flex and justify content end. Then on this call sm5, we'll say me auto, margin and auto. Save it, and we are good. Now on that add question thing, we have mt3. So instead of this, let's have m by 2, not 3. Save it, hot reload. So we have this thing now, but still from top it is a lot. Okay. So from this button, we have my2, so margin top 2. But then this section, this question box, this also has margin bottom, maybe 2 or 3. So it adds up to 5. So on this add question, we should not have the top margin, but maybe before that, let's do this. On these things, these question boxes, let's have background white. So if we go on this thing, this shadow, let's do bg white. And what if we remove shadow? Fine. What do you think? Yeah, we'll go with this thing only. Then we should have some option spacing here. After options, questions is fine. What is this? Is this HR or what? This is HR. Okay. Okay, so we'll have these white And on this add question, we are not going to have top spacing. Let's do this. Button, this one will say MB3, margin bottom 3, but MT0. Margin top, we don't need anything. Okay. And then for questions, these are questions. Li will remove shadow and we'll have BG white. And on this options, we can say H6 class MY2 and then FW bold. Same thing we'll add on this H4. We'll say FW bold and maybe let's make it H3. Save it. And on this HR, let's say class MY2. Save it. And let's see how it looks. Alright, so we have update quiz, we have these things, then we have these questions a lot bigger than before, this wide sections for a question and options, we have some spacing here. So it is looking better than before, right? Then add question, we still have this spacing, we should not have this much of spacing, we should have this much of spacing only. So maybe on this MT0 should be there. Yeah, MT0. Oh, then OL also has some margin. That's why it is looking like this. Okay. So what we'll do on this OL, we'll have MB0, margin bottom 0. And then we'll have MT maybe 2 on this add question. And we'll make these questions a bit smaller. So this questions text, this is right now H3, we'll make it maybe H5. And internal options, we have H6, that is fine. On this OL, we'll say class MB0, margin bottom 0. Okay. And then save everything. Let's try it. Questions, options, and then we have this add question. So it is looking good, right? Cool. So I guess we are good with this as well. Manage quizzes, add quiz. So these are the pages which we have right now and we made it a bit better than before. All right. So I guess we are good with our current UI design. We'll see if we need to add anything extra. We'll try to add it later. Right now, we are good. Now, next thing, what we'll do. You remember we have this when we are starting it out, the application, then it shows that error if the token is expired. So we'll handle that case.